In today's videos, I wanted to touch a little bit more on the whole idea of having a business that is driven by content. The question now becomes, what kind of content do I have to produce? And there's three types of content. Everyone talks about like interests, curiosities, hacks, tips, all of those things. But fundamentally, everything falls under three different buckets. So today I wanted to take a closer look on each one of those and give you a better understanding of what those are and how you should be using them when it comes to building a content strategy in order to fund your business, in order to make money from your business, but at the same time grow as well. So there's three different buckets that we're going to be looking at today. Content overall, if we were to do like a small triangle here, consists of three different buckets. Bucket number one will be audience building, it will be brand building, and it will be sales content. Now, we have these three buckets. Audience building, what it does, because that is the main question, is growth content. Brand building is nurture content, and sales content, is conversion. Now, before we move on, I want to make sure that you guys understand that you can mix and match all of those things. So for example, I posted a carousel today that was an audience building content combined with a call to action in the end. Does that make it only a sales piece of content? In my world, in the universe of George, yes, because the intention behind that content piece was to drive people to my landing page. That was the intention. When I started creating that piece of content, the intention was to drive people in order to get sales, basically. So whatever this piece of content is, the purpose that it exists on my account is to drive people, get them away from Instagram into my landing page and hopefully inside my product. So I would consider that as a sales piece. Now, the context, so what I said in that content piece, if we were to remove the last slide, which was the call to action, the actual remaining, let's just say, of that content piece would be an audience building content piece. And the difference between the three, this is what I want to get more into today. So consider this as always, let's consider it as a funnel. We have step one, step two, and step three. Step one is growth. That's why we use audience building content. I'm just going to say AB, so you know what that stands for. AB stands for audience building. So we want to use audience building content in order to grow our following. As you can see in the funnel, this piece here, this step one, is a lot bigger than this step here, which is step three. The idea here is that we want to grow our audience. So if your audience is not growing, let's just say you have 1,000 followers, and out of those 1,000 followers, no one is buying from you. Are there things to do when it comes to only sales content and lead people into your email list and go into email marketing and do all of those things in order to get people to pay you? Sure. But if you want to grow your audience, this is where strategy comes in. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. If you want to grow your audience, then what you should be focusing on is audience building. I got a text message today from one of my one-on-ones that said she just figured out that since July, all she did was brand building content. And she came to me because she couldn't grow her account. So she came to me wanting to grow her account, and it finally clicked for her that all she's been doing is brand building content. There was no audience building content in order to drive more people, to get more people to her account. The difference between, I want to touch briefly on this, we're not going to get deeper into scripting and into all of those things in terms of creating content, but briefly speaking, the difference between these three, audience building, brand building, and sales content. This, for audience building, I mean, we're talking to broad audience. So for example, the post that I made today was, this is how I upload, the settings that I use to upload high quality content. The settings that I use to upload high quality content applies to anyone and everyone, from the girl who wants to post her reel of her travel to Burning Man, from the accountant that wants to showcase his, accounting skills, from the creatorpreneur who wants to make a living out of content creation, from the business owner who owns a hair salon. anyone and everyone, your mom watching that wants to make a video and post, she can be benefited from that post. What do I mean by benefited from that post? The idea here is that the knowledge that you share, if it's applicable to a large audience, that means that a lot more people will be benefited from that piece of content, aka that will drive more people into your account, more eyeballs to your account. Because if I say, for example, let's just say music. So it's one thing for me to say this is how you play a G chord or the 3 notes of the G chord. Like anyone who did even the slightest bit of music would know what a G chord is, and that it consists of a 1, a third, a major third, and a fifth, and that would consist a G chord. And it's a completely different thing to go the Jacob Collier route and be like, okay, this Mixolydian scale when combined with this Ionian scale gets you this result if you want to pivot from the 4 minor and go to the major key, whatever that is. The idea is that that knowledge is not applicable to 99% of the people. Don't even care about that. Don't even know that that exists to begin with. Therefore, it is reflected on the amount of views that we get, on the amount of likes that we get, and in all of those things. That I want to plant a small seed in your mind. That's why motivational quotes and inspirational videos and stuff like that do very, very, very well. And the reason is that no matter who you are, no matter what you do, it's applicable to you. Something like this is how I get high quality content posted, or like my settings that I use, it's applicable to everyone. But if I were to do a video like this one, for example, today, this is not applicable to everyone because your mom, who doesn't care about content, won't sit down and watch this. But you care about creating content, building an online business, driving more people into your business through content. So you care about this. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. Anyway, aside from that, the whole process and the whole reason why I'm getting into this is because I want you to understand the difference between these 3: audience building, brand building, and then sales content. Moving on to brand building content, this is where you come in. And when I say you come in, I mean your brand. With all of these 3 steps, the 3 is very broad. The reason why I'm telling you it's broad is because there's pieces of content that combine, as we said before, different elements of each one of these 3 levels. So you can make a brand building content that's also audience building content, or a brand building content that could drive sales into your bank account, for example, into your business, whatever that is. But brand building content has a lot more to do about you, your story, your experiences, your lessons learned. This is your chance to showcase and build depth with your audience. This is something that a lot of people fall in the trap, basically, of creating just audience building content that is applicable to everyone. And what this allows them to do is get to numbers like this, 200,000 followers. But when it's time for them to sell a $47 product, all they get is 1 sale. And you're like, how in the world can a 200,000 follower account release a product that's great value, great production, great quality? It's not like PDF, like go buy my PDF. But even if it was a PDF, you would be surprised to know that people with this amount of following cannot for the life of them get more than 1 sale on a $47,000 on a $47 product. And the difference is because we lack this factor and this factor. So those 2 are, again, the brand building and then the sales content. Brand building is all about you. If I don't know you, but I just know you as the guy who creates videos on Instagram and talks about how to edit your videos, you just become a commodity, basically. You just become one of so many other people that do that thing. So many people. The easiest, by the way, not a hack, but something to note, the easiest way to identify whether this piece of content is audience building or brand building is when you actually get the script or get the carousel. There's a post, let's just say 50,000 likes, 13,000 shares, 20,000 comments, whatever that might be. If you can just get the script and redo it, that's audience building content. Brand building content is so much more deep in the sense of it stems from your personal story, your personal experiences, that it is uncopy-pastable. Only I can say that I got promoted from a white belt to a blue belt and changed my entire business model because of it. That's a story that's from George. I talk about that story. It's a true story that it did happen, and I made a content piece about that. Guess what? It didn't do as well as my audience building content, but the intention behind it is not to do great numbers. It's there to nurture the people that came into my account, give context to the people that came to my account. So I found this random guy talking about the high quality settings that I should be using for Instagram. Cool. I saw that video. I liked it. I saw a few other videos. I liked those. I started following them. It's your job as the creator to then help people connect with you. If you don't share your story, if you don't share what you're all about, what you've been up to, how did you end up here in the first place? Like, what happened? What's your story? What are the big losses? What are the big successes that you had? If you don't talk about all of those things, how do you expect people to know about them? So the idea here is that we create content. It is on us to create the content that builds depth with our audience. We can do that with stories. We can do that with content. So we have audience building, we have brand building, and then we have sales. And sales is pretty much a conversion post. You have this problem. I had this problem, came up with this solution. I tested it for myself. It worked. I tested it with other people. It worked. And now I'm encouraging you and I'm inviting you to go get this product. This is what it can do for you. This is why you need it. This is how it works. That's just the sales content piece. You can do that with carousels. You can do that with reels. You can do that with stories, with automations. Again, as I said before, you can go so deep with stuff like this that there is levels to the game, as they say. I like visualizing this whole thing as an hourglass because that's what it is at the end of the day. This is monetization, which is a beast in and of itself. Like, how do you get someone to get you from $47 to get them to say yes to a $700 product, and the list goes on and on to a 1.5K, 5K, 10K, all of those things. So the idea though, and because this video is primarily based on content, is this. You need to leverage and you need to understand two worlds, and that is media and monetization. This is media. This is content creation 101. If you don't understand these three different levels, you're probably confused and you probably see no growth, see no sales, have no genuine connection with your audience, and it's because of this. If you want to grow, do more audience building content. But if you want to make more sales, do more sales content. But at the core of it, do more brand building content, because that will always be the differentiating factor between someone going, I want to buy from George, or I just want to buy whatever is on the market and I just want to do that. So again, focus a lot more on brand building content, whether you want to grow or whether you want to monetize your audience. If you want to do all three, do all three. If you're going to post 10 times a week, 3 of them make them audience building, 3 brand building, 3 make them sales, whatever it is. The idea here is to sit down and say, what do I want to do with the account that I have, with the following that I have? If you have 10,000 followers, you can start monetizing anyways. If you have 1,000 followers, you can start monetizing. Like, there's no clear, let's just say, line that you need to cross in order to start monetizing your audience. So if you want to do that, so you came up with this little product and you're like, let me test this product. Like, I spend hours creating it, which you shouldn't. This is what monetization is all about. You should validate the offer first before you actually go out and tell people, go buy this. That's besides the point. That's another video. But the idea here is clarity between where do I want to get to and how am I going to get to that place. So if you are on, let's just say 5,000 followers and you want to scale, you want to take your account to 10K followers, but you are okay with the fact, because remember, there is no solution. There's trade-offs. So if you are okay with going from 5K to 10K, because that's your dream, that's what you want to have, but make no sales, again, to remind you, if you want to be like this guy, 200,000 followers, but struggles to make 2 sales on a $47 product, be my guest. You can do that. Just do audience building content 3 times a day, and trust me, you'll crush it. You'll be all day, every day, you'll be getting followers upon followers upon followers. But if you want to make a living out of your content, then the story changes. Then is when we introduce intention. That's when we introduce content strategy. Because the truth is, you need all three. An actual strategy that is concrete, that grows the account, that nurtures the account and converts those followers into customers and clients. That process, that's when content strategy becomes a thing. And if you want more help with leveraging content in order to build your brand, grow your brand, and monetize your brand, aka make a living out of content, 3-Day Creator is just for you. I left a link below so you can check that out. That's when you should start focusing more on a content strategy rather than just saying, I just want to grow my account. That makes nothing. I hope this helped, and I'll see you soon.